Some bunnies with a bazooka dump.
Way downtown. Bang! Bang!
Mama, there goes that man.
16,000 square, 8 million up there, 2 million down here. When I was born, grandmama could see it. I be Bentley driven and very strategic. RM sleeve, no diamonds are needed. Floors are heated, so be it, so be it. Fucking with P, get something to meet you. Your soul don't like your body, we help you free it. Then we wait for TMZ to leak it. It ain't no secret, so be it, so be it. Smoke. So be it, so be it. Smoke. So be it. CLIP, SCFB.
Alright, welcome to A Tribe Called Swish. This is B Moore and the newly minted J Moore, aka Josh. So we always working on some things. But this is the championship Monday after OKC won. First, we had that new intro. The first part is done by my other nephew TJ. He did the music, and then for the OKC package, of course, I have the new clip song. I told you in the last podcast how big of a fan I am with theirs, so I had to find a way to weave them into it. So, but again, this is Championship Monday. So, Josh, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling good, man. On top of the wings and chicken and pizza I just had, I'm feeling great. I'm happy the Thunder won. I knew it from jump that it was gonna. I think I said it was gonna go to Game 7, but the Thunder won and they definitely deserved it last night. So. Let's go. I'm geeked.
I don't think you called 7. I think you thought it was going to be a sweep or 5. But
5.
You did. 5. But you did, but you were right. The Thunder did win. They are our 2025 NBA champions. They, this was the best team from start to finish. There was really, going into the playoffs, not many people doubted this team except for their youth. And, I know people were wondering if they're, because they were ahead of schedule with everything, if they were just, how that's going to happen. Like we're used to seeing these teams fail first, especially teams that weren't just like kind of put together, teams that grew together,
Yeah.
Like Golden State kind of got there kind of fast, but there were pieces all that they added along the way that kind of got them to that point. But we're not really used to seeing, at least in recent history, a team that's kind of built it the slow way. I mean, it took them 6 years to get to this point. I mean, so It's not, this is not a microwavable team. And I think because of that, that kind of set them up for the future. So how do you feel about these finals? What are your thoughts? OKC the champion. Looking back, what are your big thoughts on the finals?
So I think the finals as a whole, I think it was very up and down sometimes. I think it was also just contributed to the broadcasting too. But it was a roller coaster ride in terms of how the teams were playing. Like, it was looking like the Pacers were going to take it away this year because OKC, like, they were very, like, they had their foot on the gas and then they didn't keep it there and then they let it off and then they went and kept on the gas. So it was kind of weird. I have a lot more to say, but I think the Pacers gave them a run for their money, and I thought it was a very even matched finals. Both teams are very young, and so I think if the Thunder or the Pacers were going against a more seasoned team that's been to the finals and had more players or veterans going to the finals, I think it'd be a very, very, very different story this year. But yeah, I think that's how it went this year.
Sure. So let's the Pacers. I mean, we all saw that gruesome injury that Halliburton suffered in the first quarter, which for some reason ABC, ESPN kept showing that replay over and over again for some reason. Not sure if just their words of saying how bad of an injury was it driving home the point, but they kept showing it. And, that's something we've been worried about since we heard about his calf strain. We're all old enough that we remember Kevin Durant. And we know that's what happened in that season against Toronto. He had started with the calf strain and then pop, and he was done for a year. So I think that was always, a concern. I mean, he played phenomenal in Game 6. Luckily, he didn't have to play a lot of minutes. But, that was that kind of put a damper on Game 7 because listen, when I saw him come out this hot, I was like, man, this is he's playing too well too early, and
Yeah,
it felt like for me when I was watching him, like something's going to happen because
yeah,
he was just listen. Tyrese Halliburton is a good shooter, but he's not that kind of shooter of the pull up and just from deep almost
not a
low
3 from 4. Yeah, not a 3
right.
or 4 from 3.
Yeah, I'm like this is I don't know. It didn't feel like I was witnessing like oh he's gonna make history. It felt like I was witnessing like oh like a final destination type thing like oh something's
Yeah,
about to happen. You
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
So that just when you saw him go down, what were your first thoughts?
I knew immediately what it was. I think so. Speaking from like a player aspect, and main sport was football, and I played a whole bunch of other sports. And it's like when you're hurt, you're not thinking about your injury. You're just going off of pure full speed, game speed instinct, and you're not thinking about anything else. And like sometimes, like when you're caught up in that adrenaline, especially playing Game 7, you're coming out making a statement like Tyrese Halliburton, like you're not thinking about anything else, and you just kind of forget like you're feeling invincible, and then when that injury happened, like now you're a human again, and now like everything that you worked so hard for kind of goes away pretty like in the flash. So when I saw Halliburton go down immediately, the it brought me back to Damian Lillard, Jason Tatum, and then Kevin Durant, and then let's not forget Kobe Bryant when he blew out his Achilles too. It also started as a calf strain, and so that I was hurting for him. I think he deserved to play in that Game 7. I was hurting for him, man. It was bad. I didn't want to. That's a player that you don't want to see go down like that at all, or any player, honestly.
Absolutely. I mean, he is the annoying player that we need to make
Yeah,
it be entertaining. Like
yeah,
but he is not a Pat Bev annoying where it's like, all
yeah.
right, guy, I don't care if you're gonna drop 5 points to me, you're gonna talk the whole game. He's a player that can really dictate how
Mhm.
the game goes. And
Yep.
he it becomes cliche, but he really was the engine to that Pacers team. And when he went out, you saw that this team, they again, like I know it was a shock. They're like,
Yeah.
wow, it's a shock. And then they played their hearts out in that second quarter. But the
Mm.
third quarter at halftime, you just felt like they knew. And my biggest disappointment is Pascal Siakam. He's been there. He's got it. And
Yep.
him finishing with just 16 points.
Yep.
Look, man, go out on your sword. Like I don't care if you have a Kobe type final night where you are 10 for 50. Listen, man,
Yeah.
you go out on listen, you are the only person on that team who's
Yep.
been there and has the talent to do something like that. And for you to finish
Mhm.
16 points, 4 boards, no. I mean, and that kind of goes back to our conversation that we talked about earlier in the playoff about what does it mean to be a number two, and can any of these number two really be number one? And I look
Right.
at Pascal Siakam, and people were saying that he's the number one, and now I'm looking at him crazy in the light
I'm
because
confused.
you look good when you're next to Halliburton when he can get you the ball in the perfect spot, but when he's gone, you look crazy right now. And so
Yeah.
yeah, so like, are you seeing what I'm seeing? Because I was really surprised, especially I think he had 13 points in the first half, so only to score
Mhm.
3 points in the second half is crazy to me. So
Yeah.
what do you think?
I think I don't think the Pacers have a solid number two, honestly. I think they have like a well balanced team where everybody can contribute in different ways. Like honestly, I think who said it? I think someone it was said last night too that it was either the Pacers or the Thunder that consistently have players that are in double digits almost each game. And like that's like it's not going to be like there's no standout person outside of outside of Halliburton, in my opinion. Um, but yeah, I was super disappointed in Pascal Siakam because Game 6 he had a phenomenal game. He was going crazy, and I think
It's because he was possessed.
yeah, yeah, I had that whole eye rolling thing. Yeah, that's he put a curse on Thunder and then didn't finish it in Game 7. But Yeah, man. I don't know. Like it was not. I don't know, but more so like yeah, super disappointed. I thought the person that I thought was gonna have a great game was Benedict Mathurin,
Yeah,
and I'm looking at his face. Andrew Nemhard
yeah,
put up more points. Because Benedict like he had 24, but it was 24 too late.
yeah.
He I like especially if he's playing so wild and like so aggressive, and then he just it was too late. He should have turned it on along with Pascal Siakam in the first half, and then I think they probably would have ended both would have probably ended it with like 30 points, and they probably would have won that series last night. But
Mhm.
uh we got to give out a shout out to TJ McConnell though.
Yeah.
He dude, he had 16. I thought he had more, but he had 16, and he almost completed a comeback last night. He came
But
out hot.
But his 16, the problem with his 16 when I was watching this game was that it didn't feel like it had an impact. Because he would score, then the Thunder would score, then it just felt like it felt like empty calories, right? Like he was if if that was like spurring something in that team, and
Yeah,
then that like how he's done before, where that was the spark, and they were able to kind of get some stops on the other end and kind of really, but it never felt even how hot he was, it never felt that they got closer. I think they did get within like 8 or something like that, but it never
like
felt
6.
6. Okay, it never
Yeah,
felt close, even as hot as he was, because it seemed like when they would do it, like they would come back on the other side and Caruso would hit a shot, or
yeah,
he would score 4 straight, and then they would turn the ball over at half court, and then there would be an easy layup for the Thunder. So it never felt close. What something I noticed is that how dependent Obi Toppin is on Halliburton, because he was gone. Like he was
yeah,
like Obi Toppin has been for me one of the bigger surprises of this playoff run, because he's been really a consistent player on both ends of the court.
yep.
But I didn't see him. Now in the post game interviews he said that he couldn't stop him. Like Halliburton was like like his mom's out of the game, and so and that could very well have been a part of it. And and that but in game 7, just to like he really disappeared. Like
Yeah.
I forgot he was even on the court. Like I would see him on the court, and I'm just like, what is happening? So yeah, that was like one of my bigger but like I didn't realize like how much that Halliburton keeps his team going, and when he's on the court with players like Obi Toppin,
Mhm.
how much he kind of gets them in the right place and gets the ball to them at the right time.
Yeah, he made the role players look great.
Mhm.
But I think I have to put the spotlight back on not Pascal, on TJ McConnell, mainly because he was trying to will his team into a comeback and victory, and he was very level-headed. I think his team his team failed him, honestly. He
Mhm.
played his heart out. I think he dropped 16. He had 16, 6, and 3, and some steals. And like you have a guy that's that fired up and motivated. He saw the injury. You could tell like Tyrese Halliburton impacted him, but he used that as motivation, and I think that's his veteran experience talking to. Because he also, let's not forget, he was also just as effective when he was with the Sixers when Joel Embiid went down, and he was the backup point guard, and he still
Yeah,
showed
but
up and played. Like he had that
so
veteran experience. I think his
I
team just
don't
failed him.
so I don't count his Sixers experience, because that team was really trying to lose when he was there, and he was just kind of like he was a spare part in the process. So like I don't so yes, he did. Like he that's when he came on my radar, and he played well, but I don't like. I'm sure even he would say the experience he's having in Indiana versus what he dealt with in Philly, it's probably like a G League to an NBA level type jump. But I get your point. I get your point.
Oh,
I get
TJ McConnell slander will not be tolerated
no,
here.
it's not really him. It's the fact that he was that was the epitome of empty calories. He was just running up and down the court in Philly. They weren't they weren't competitive yet because Ben Simmons was injured. Like they kept on, they weren't really. They were trying to get, and like he was in that whole mix, but they were trying to figure out, is this the process working? Embiid was, it was
And that was when he was with Jimmy Butler too.
right. So yeah, that he had that one season, probably that 1 year where they were actually trying to be competitive. But anyway, but back to, listen, I agree. Listen, McConnell played his heart. The Pacers just came up short, and there's a lot to blame. One of the people who you can't blame is Rick Carlisle. I think he coached his ass off. He did everything possible to put this team in a situation to win, and the stars weren't aligned for him.
I think the only thing I hold him accountable for is the injury management with Tyrese Halliburton. I think as a coach, like I've coached football, I coach football, right? Like you have to keep your eyes out on injuries and like what the patterns are, like what other players are hurt, and like what their injury, like how the injuries start off, and the trend that's happening right now. The trend of picking up again is Achilles tears and like blood clots and strains, like what they lead to. I think what should have happened. I know it's Game 7 in the finals. Rick Carlisle's got the secret sauce to get a team to the finals regardless. I think noticing how the injuries happen, and I'm going to go back to Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard had a blood clot issue, but it eventually led to a calf strain and then an Achilles tear. If I'm Rick Carlisle, right, I know better than the players in terms of like what could potentially happen. I've been in the game for almost 20 years as a head coach. If I'm Rick Carlisle, right, I know like what's going on. I understand what Tyrese Halliburton. I know his role. I know his impact. I'm probably playing him maybe 3 minutes, not maybe 3 minutes, and I'm telling him like I'm gonna put you on the floor with T.J. McConnell. Like if you want to play, you can play. You get the shot, whatever the case may be. But like, please, just be mindful, or I'm just gonna take you off the court. Because I know like. Because he played Game 6, he went crazy. Game 5 or 6, he had a great game, and they won. But I'm telling him next Game 7, all right, Game 7, got to dial it back, honestly, just a little bit. Or Game 6, I'm telling him to dial it back because he went hard, and I think that put too much strain on his injury, which led him to blowing out his Achilles. Because because that was crazy.
I think Game 6, I think they were pressing Game 6. And I think that's why they ran a score up so they could get them some rest. They thought that was going to be enough, and it just wasn't. And that's and that's unfortunate. But I do want to move on to the champions. Look, again, I think we both watching this team play during the regular season, we both saw them as like these are the guys. Yeah. Like last year, we was like, last year when we saw them, we're like, it's possible, but it's way too early right now. And then this year, where they kind of like locked in with the whole time. And listen, we've joked on this podcast of saying like how they're going to trick off some games in the series where they're just, again, they're young, so that happens. But this team, this is one of the best runs that I can remember since maybe I would say maybe Golden State's first ring, and maybe Golden State's first ring with Durant, where it's just a run where you just see it and it feels special. I was just watching this team just hustle, play ball, take good shots. They played the game the way everyone complains that's not being played. They weren't taking 53 pointers.
Right.
And thank God they weren't, because they weren't going to hit them. So they were playing good defense. They were physical. They didn't go and just buy 2 stars and put them together and then have some mid-level exceptions and some old guys coming off the bench. It was a balanced roster. They had a real number 1. Jalen Williams is their number 2, no doubt. He played up until really last rounds of the playoffs. He was really consistent. And so it just felt good watching this team. And I know people are saying, the kids, this team doesn't really have aura, or this team doesn't feel cool, or this team doesn't, but I don't know, man. Look, I'm 47. I'm not the one to dictate what cool is now or whatever. But what you can see throughout history, I don't care how your age, you can look at somebody and be like, okay, they're cool. I don't know, maybe that's a young, and you can be like, okay, maybe they might be cool to you, but I don't. It doesn't translate. Cool. If you're like just generally cool, it kind of translates across generations.
Mhm.
Shea is cool. Jalen Williams, not so much. And again, Jalen Williams might be cool for kids his age, 24, 25, maybe. I don't know. I'm not that age. But
They're all the same age.
Huh?
I think they're all the same age.
Right, but the thing, Shea is cool, translates. Jalen Williams kind of just seems goofy, you know? But Shea and arguably Jokic has been the two best players this season. And the thing that we have complained about in these playoffs is that these quote unquote stars, number ones, and the clutch time, they're not willing to take the shots. They're doing everything. They're not willing to get the ball. They're doing everything. We saw with Anthony Edwards. We saw with Tatum sometimes. We've seen these stars not only do that. That's not Shea's problem, and that's one of the reasons why he's made me. I'm a huge fan of him now, of a player that I'm like. He's like, look, I'm the MVP. I'm the star. I'm gonna take us home.
Yeah, I think you're saying Shea's not a clutch player, or you're saying he is a clutch player?
He is a clutch player. He is a clutch player.
Okay. I think he is a clutch player. I think he's a very situational clutch player. I think if he's a guy that's going like 7 of 35 for shooting and it's just not his night, I think the Thunder have a great roster to have. You could go to anybody.
Yeah.
To shoot that shot and it'll go in. I think that's what makes the Thunder so lethal, honestly. But yes, I think I like how the roster's built out with their play style. I think it's a great idea that they don't like Shea's their number one guy. Like if he's hot, yes, give him the ball. But if he's not hot, I'm probably gonna go to Jalen Williams or then Caruso and then Lugan Dortz, or Chet and then Chet. Like honestly, like any of those guys that hit a shot, they play team ball, and I think what happens, as both you and I also said too, with the transition of the NBA, the league will adjust to the team that wins the finals. Because for a really long time, when the Warriors won off 3-pointers, then what happened? They won 2 more hitting 3-pointers, and then the Celtics won off the 3-pointers, and that's how they were shooting so much. And then the year after that, the Nuggets did the same thing, and they won off of 3-pointers and then like off of center play too. Now this year, the Thunder won off of team play, and I think I'm more excited about a team that's gonna play team ball versus shoot 300 threes a game from both teams and not play defense, where it looks like an all-star game every week and it's ridiculous. So I'm loving how the direction of the NBA is going to be turning to once the new season comes around.
Yeah, and for me, that's what I love about this team is that they play team ball, but when it's time for Shea to get his buckets, Shea goes and gets his buckets. And I think that's why we loved Kobe. That's why we love Jordan. That's why we love all these players who we say like one-on-one, they will get their buckets, but they do it at the right time. And that's so key with Shea. That's so why I just love his game. And his game is just he's Luka like that where you can't speed him up. He's not, he plays at his own pace. He picks, chooses, he'll attack. He's a 3-level scorer. And it's just like his game is just I just love his game. But look, I will also give credit to your boy Caruso, who is the old man, was the old man of the team at like
yes,
67. So he had to show them how to open champagne last night. Chet was trying to open it like I think this sort like Chet was trying to open like a bottle. He was trying to hit it off the side of the table. And Caruso's like, no. He's like, no, this is champagne. You can't do that. So I just showed you how young this team is, where the ancient Caruso is trying to teach these kids how to open a champagne bottle, So that's, but Caruso played great defense, hit timely shots. It's crazy. This is only really Chet's second year in the league.
And he's a champion.
And he's a champion. So Caruso, Chet, Lou Dortz, who when Lou shoots a three, that's a rainbow. Like
I swear, very Steve Nash.
That is a rainbow. They just have these players who you just like, you just like, man, I like you. Listen, I like you. Like I don't like. Listen, I have no reason, but I I just like the cut of your jib. It's one of those type things. Like that. But they're supporting cast, and even the coach Mark Daigneault. He for a while I thought he was going to get outcoached by Rick Carlisle, but he figured it out. That was good. But yeah, this team is just like. It's just so fun to watch. Like I feel like I haven't had this much fun just watching a basketball team since. Like I didn't like the Celtics run last year. I know I'm a Celtics fan. It wasn't fun. It just wasn't like I had more basketball joy watching the Mavericks work through the playoffs than I did with the Celtics. The Mavericks were they were fun to watch, and unfortunately I knew that they were overmatched. I didn't like the Celtics Golden State that run, because I felt like Golden State won, but outside I think maybe game 4 for Steph or game 5, I felt like we really didn't have a Steph series. It wasn't really like this big series for Steph. Like he had that one big game, but they weren't fun. I like the Milwaukee run. So I would say since the Denver was fun. Denver and Milwaukee was fun. Like I like those two runs, but I didn't like Golden State's championship run. I didn't like the Celtics last year, and so favorite run in the last 3 years. I just didn't again, as a Celtics fan, I felt bad last year because I'm just like, you guys aren't fun. You guys aren't fun. Like they just weren't a fun watch. And it compounded that with Tatum doing every cliche viral moment at the end of everything. So it just weren't fun. Where I felt like Denver was fun. Like Jokic was fun because at the end of it all, Jokic's like, yo, I just want to go home. And they're like, you know what? I like it. Fine, I get it. Sometimes I don't want to party with my coworkers. Cool, I get that. But they just felt fun. And also with that Denver team, you saw their heartbreak in the bubble where we found out how good Jamal Murray was. We're like, and we started to see that Jokic is really that dude. And Milwaukee, because you just everybody just loves Giannis. Giannis makes everything better. He's like he makes everything better. So you didn't have that with Golden State, because Golden State just had that feeling, and you didn't have it with Boston. But with this team, you kind of get that love back, and you seem like you do not agree with me. So.
No, dude. Okay. So if we're looking at fun matchups in the finals, I love this topic. I'm glad we're having this conversation. Golden State's first ring was super exciting because they went against Braun. Like Braun came back by himself pretty much. Yeah. He did a lot himself. But and then the following year, Cavs won the finals, and they beat out Golden State. And then the following year, Golden State came back and won the finals. Yep. Like all of those 3 to 4 years of Golden State and the Cavs trilogy, like that matchup was exciting. Like I'm seeing LeBron trash talk Steph, doing a whole bunch of chase down blocks. Kyrie, Mr. Magician, with the Uncle Drew hitting them with the handles. Draymond kicking people in the crotch, and then drunk Hennessy, J.R. Smith blowing a rebound and missing the shot. And it's just like everybody's getting stressed, and you can see LeBron check out after the gentleman's sweep. So like those wins in the finals had everything. People were talking about it for years to come, and
Mhm.
both teams were like Golden State was a young team. The Thunder team reminds me of Golden State. They were both young, and they won their first ring on their own by their core team, right? Then the
Mhm.
following year, Golden State got tested, and they're like, okay, we're good, but we need one more piece, and that's when they
Right.
got Kevin Durant. And then like each year they grew together, and then they hit like Toronto, and then that's when they lost, and then it kind of declined right after that. But I think I look at the Thunder and I look at Golden State, and they're kind of aligned in the same way because Mark
Mhm.
Jackson put that core together to be set up for success in the finals. Like he had a great vision, and I think now with Billy Donovan, and then when Mark Dagnall came over and took over, like Mark came in for the past I think 3-4 years.
Yeah.
He's been their coach and molded that team to be like super successful. So it was very like a Mark Jackson, Steve Kerr situation in the Thunder too now. So I'm excited for the Thunder. I think their window for winning another championship is big, honestly. I think they're going to have a very, very large target on their back now. And I think once these other teams and after the big trade yesterday happen, these other teams are going to come after them. It's going to be another hard journey for them too next year.
Yeah, and I think that's now the next talk is they won the championship. What's next? Like
Hmm.
when I look at this Thunder team, I say, okay, Shea has his first MVP. Can he get another one? Because the MVP race is going to be as tight. I mean, Jokic doesn't look like he's going anywhere. Giannis
Yeah,
isn't like as far as like high level play. Giannis is still putting up phenomenal numbers.
yeah,
Is will Jalen Brunson enter the race? Like there are these
yeah.
there are these players, but as far as winning a championship, I I think they have a 3 year window right now for sure. I think for sure
Mm.
they have a 3 year window. I don't. I'm not sure. I'm not sure because a lot of things for any team to win a championship, things have to fall in place. People have already started talking this asterisk talk, which I think is bullshit
Bogus.
about
Yeah,
like how no. Look, health happens. That's
right.
just that's just how sports are. But the same thing is they have to be healthy, right?
Hmm.
And we've already seen Chet, two others. I mean, every since he's been in the league, he's been hurt.
Yep.
So he's missed time. So health is going to be a big thing, and so as I think they have a solid 3 year window where after this season they got this one where they should be able to get at least another one in the next 3 years. But then after that, it's going to get tough because I think not this year, but next year, that's when you're going to start seeing a lot of the role players start to be like, okay, it's time for me to get paid. So how long can they hang on to a player like Lou Dortz? How long can they hang around with a player like how long is Jalen Williams gonna be happy being number two?
Right.
He's gonna be extension eligible technically as early as this summer, but next summer really. So they may extend him this summer or not. He may want to wait it out. So how he's gonna want to get paid. I mean, he's a champion. He's gonna want to get paid, and
Yeah.
trust me, he will get paid somewhere. So like it's so that's why I'm saying it's like 3 years definitely. Like I've heard people say 5 years. I think 5 years is being way too aggressive. I don't think in this modern day NBA saying a 5 year window is wild because I like a lot of things have to go right. Like a lot of things have to fall perfect. Now, what I do like about this window that they have is that the older guard is aging out, and a lot of the older guard now they're not really in situations outside of Kevin Durant now with this new trade. They're not really in championship situations. Like the Lakers aren't really championship contenders because I think LeBron has 1-2 years tops, and so they're not really in a championship form right now. The Celtics are definitely out of it for next year because of Tatum's injury, so they're out of it. The
And
Knicks,
Jalen Brown.
huh?
Jalen Brown had his surgery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they're probably I foresee the Celtics tanking this year. Honestly, but next season I foresee them tanking because they're not gonna be championship bound. The Knicks, who knows what they're gonna be like, you know. So next season is probably I think they have a chance to repeat, and then after that it becomes scary hours again because everyone's gonna be able to reset. People are gonna be back from injuries and stuff like that. So I say 3 years is their window right now. How do you see it?
I see 5. I think 5 is a really good number. Because they're probably one of the most consistent teams probably right now in the league, and they're more level-headed.
Mhm.
But the tricky thing is you are 100% correct on the money portion, and you also got to take age into a factor too, because once you get like they're all like 23, 24. I think they're the youngest team in the league right now.
Yeah.
When you start, as my dad liked to say, once you start smelling your own pee, because you got a ring, like you kind of get beside yourself, and then you end up leaving, and now you're having regrets of like, wow, I wish I could have, like, I wish I stayed with the Thunder. I think the personalities, like the GM is a manager of personalities, and if he handles these personalities well and pay them that they like what they earned, then like I think he'll be fine. But I think their window is very big. They all grew up together. Their relationship is super tight. I think the major factor, or the biggest question mark, will be Jalen Williams. Not so much Caruso because he's probably going to start getting that vet wage. And then Chet Holmgren. If they can keep also their key players too, which is very tricky for any team, they'll be fine.
So
They're gonna be very fine.
So I'm going through their roster right now.
Mhm.
So everyone is definitely signed through next season. They're like after next season, they'll be let's see, the only person who's really gonna be up even after next season is going to be Jalen Williams, and he has a player option. But pretty much, honestly, they've got people locked into like 28. Like
There you go.
so they've got a lot of their people locked into the 26, 27, 28 season for the most part.
That's 4 years.
Yeah. So and they have seemingly 1,000 draft picks. So this team is really set for the next few years.
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be movement, adjustments, probably some trades or whatever, because this team needs 3-point shooting.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably if you have to look at where this team is lacking and where it almost bit them, is consistent 3-point shooting. Now, because they're a good team, they're able to hit 3-pointers like when they need them. But there isn't anyone on this roster I could be like, okay, if I need a 3 right now, he can get it for me. Like Shea could give me an and 1. Lou Dortz seemingly maybe in the first and fourth quarter can hit 3-pointers. The middle of the game is very weird with how he doesn't take a lot of shots. He but I don't feel there's not a okay. You don't have.
I think that's.
Right.
I think it's very yes and no. I think Jalen Williams can hit a 3. I think he's probably one of the better. He's probably one of the more for sure 3-point shooters you can have. And then I'd probably say Caruso. But like when I think of Alex Caruso, shooting is not what comes to mind. Like it's really just defense that. So I think Jalen Williams is probably their best bet. But if you're looking for a more steadfast, steady shooter, none of them are that. For a 3-pointer,
a Kyle Korver type.
Yeah, a little sharpshooter.
That's like they're how we've talked before. They're all scorers, not necessarily shooters, right?
Yeah,
they need a Kyle Korver type mode where you're like, oh, okay, this guy he can make sure he can get that for me. So again, to the victor go to spoils. The Thunder gave us a great basketball this season. Amazing, amazing. So happy that I was able to kind of watch this team play. Congratulations to this team. So with that, what about the Pacers? I mean, they've got to be just beside themselves and just disappointment. I know Halliburton was really upset, going out like that. But moving past that point, what's next for this team? Because a team without Tyrese Halliburton and at that timetable, because he's young, is going to vary when he's going to come back. But I don't see him coming back before the All-Star break. So I don't know how this team is competitive without him. Honestly, again, the regular season is way different from the playoffs, but this team may find themselves right outside of the play-in. So I'm not sure what's really next for this team. I don't see them competing for a championship next year, maybe in 2 years, but I just don't. The immediate future doesn't seem bright for this Pacers team.
I disagree. I think this Pacers team has a balance of young players and veteran players. They kind of remind me of the Rockets in a weird way in their in terms of like age.
Okay.
But they got TJ McConnell locked in. I looked at his contract up until 2028, 2029. And then for his contract. Halliburton got his extension, I think, last year. Pascal, I think he might have another year, right? Or he's approaching his.
I think he just resigned. He just signed.
He just resigned.
Yep.
Okay, there you go.
Until 27, 28.
Perfect. And then Miles Turner. I think. I hate to say it. They might need to start shopping Miles Turner. He deserved to be here. I know he was loyal, but I think it's truly, and Dave's always had rumors around shopping Miles Turner, but I think it's time. It's time. He disappeared way too much. He can't defend very well. He's very wishy-washy from when I was watching him in this playoffs. I think it's time to shop him out, honestly. Get some picks for the 26, 27 draft and get another backup player. I would probably if I'm the Pacers, I'm keeping my my eye on Khalil Ware from Miami Heat as another big man, honestly. Because he's young, crazy athletic. I'm also shopping Obi Toppin too. Because, bro, I see what the Knicks are seeing now and why they sent you over here.
Yeah.
You can't do anything.
Dude,
what are you doing?
So Obi Toppin is one of these weird players where he doesn't play like his position says he should play. So he's really a power forward, but he kind of plays like a 3, but he doesn't really rebound well. So
he's just a body on the floor.
Yeah, so which is why as athletic and as explosive as he is, teams don't know really what to do with him. What I like the fact that his 3-point shot is coming along. I like the fact that when he's aggressive, he can really be that spark off the bench. But he's not somebody who I would be like, no, I'm not going to shop him. But they're going to need to they need to find somebody who you don't have to rely on them to be hot to be effective. Like Nembhard, Nesmith, McConnell, all these guys, you rely on them. Even Reed Shepherd with his porn stash, you rely on these guys to be hot. When it's all said and done, he does have a porn stash. It's not. He does. It's all wrong, Jeremy. But it's you need the thing is that people when I watch them play during this run is that yes, when it's all said and done, they're going to average 12.5 points or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But to get to that 12.5 points, they're going to have a game where it's 6 points, then a game where there's 20 points. And then a game where there's 10 points, and a game where there is like 4 points,
Yeah.
And so they need somebody who night in, night out can be like, you can't get over porn stash. It's killing you. So, but that's kind of what they need right now. Like that's what I see. I just I don't, as far as championship windows, they had a great run, but this may have been a miracle run. There's just nothing about this team that states to me that in a relatively weak East right now, at least for next season, that they could do anything. But again, trust me, the Cavs will again be good in the regular season and again find some way to mess it up in the playoffs. So there's that. I'm babbling, but I just don't see a championship window for them. I think that they'll be able to be competitive in the East. But I don't know. I think this was one of those, that magic carpet ride where you just had the stars were aligned and things were just going well.
I agree with you to a certain extent. Like, I think if the Pacers won, I know you hate it. I think there would be an asterisk to this win because they didn't play a fully healthy East team, honestly. And I think, and it's not fair to say like to put an asterisk by like a win, because then the Lakers would have an asterisk by their finals win in the bubble, right? But I think for this particular year, for this particular situation, if the NBA is rigged, I'm glad the Thunder won. The Pacers probably would have felt like slighted on their win, honestly, if they won this series, because Damian Lillard was out. But granted, the Pacers were already giving the Bucks a hard time.
Right. Oh, and it's real quick. It's Ben Shepherd, not Reed Shepherd. But go on. I don't want to make
Ben Shepherd, right.
Yeah. But go ahead. Continue.
Yeah, Reed Shepherd's on the Rockets.
Yeah.
But I think the Pacers were already giving the Bucks a hard time, even with a healthy Damian Lillard. But then after that, they played an unhealthy Cavs team. Like, Donovan Mitchell got hurt. Then Darius Garland was out for like 4 or 5 games. And played back when it was a winner go home situation, but barely showed up. And then who do they have after the Cavs? The Knicks. Yeah. There we go. Right. The Knicks. I think that win against the Knicks was probably the most legit win that they had. Everyone was healthy. There was no we saw the Pacers struggle against them at times, but they won that season. They won that series fair and square. I just think because the big teams, right, the major exciting teams that have what it takes, that have experience of winning the finals, those were the teams that got hurt. And I think if I'm a gambling person, which I'm not, I think I would have put my money on the Bucks or the Cavs beating the Pacers when fully healthy.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, they were definitely blessed with luck,
Yeah.
And again, and it's you know what? No, I'm not going to say luck. It's just sports, man.
Yeah.
These things just happen, and
injuries happen. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like we've taken it back to what we talked about with Golden State. They didn't have any major injuries really during that run. They were healthy.
Ooh, I got to take that back. You got to take that back. During that run, so when the Warriors lost to Toronto, KD and Klay Thompson.
Well, I mean, that's what ended it. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about when they won it. When they won it, that's what I'm saying. When they won it, they were healthy.
Everybody was healthy. All the teams are healthy. Yeah.
Yeah, they were healthy when that first season, when they met Cleveland, and LeBron to do everything when he was almost MVP because he did everything. Yeah, Kyrie went out, Kevin Love went out in that first time. Yeah, the second go round. Yeah, so there are just things that happen on every championship team that you be like, oh no, there is no perfect championship run where this one team. You even go back to the Bulls, no matter how people get hurt, and that's just kind of how sports are,
Yeah.
So So I want to move on. We have got Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant to Houston. So a part of me was so first it was hilarious him quote unquote finding out while he was being interviewed,
Yeah.
even though I'm pretty sure he knew that he was going to Houston before that interview started. But for the fun of it, let's just say he found out during the middle of the interview. That was funny. I personally wanted him to go to San Antonio. I really wanted that to happen. I wanted to see him and Wemby together. Really wanted that to happen. But I am happy that he ends up in Houston. Um, they gave up on my boy Jalen Green. I'm still a Jalen Green fan. I still believe. For some reason, Phoenix has decided to have a roster full of shooting guards, so I'm not quite sure what they're doing. They have 7 shooting guards on the roster right now. This is not an exaggeration. They legit have 7
Yeah.
shooting guards on the roster.
Dylan
So
Brooks, Jalen Green, Devin Booker, Grayson Allen. Who else they got over there?
it's I saw it
Bradley
yesterday.
Beal.
I'll pull up the list, but yeah, I saw it yesterday. Yeah, but they have a roster of shooting guards, right?
Yeah.
So we'll get to them later on in a couple of weeks or whatever because they're not competitive. But so yeah, I like, and Jalen Green is probably not going to stay in Phoenix. They're probably going to package him and probably ship him someplace else because I can't see a world where Jalen Green and Devin Booker are on the same team because that doesn't make sense. But I like Kevin Durant in Houston. I like him in Houston. The fact that they didn't really give up any of their core players. Amen Thompson's still there. Şengün is still there. They kept Jabari Smith, which I'm very big on, and I felt he should have got more minutes last year. So they kept their core. I think Fred VanVleet is up for has a player option, which I think that
I
is.
don't think so.
Let me see.
I think they kept him for 3 or 4 years.
So he's going to be there. I'm not necessarily sold on him being a championship point guard. Yeah, they have a team option for the next season. So if they want to pick, they can exercise that option. I think they're gonna. Well, they have a couple weeks to decide if they're gonna exercise that option on them. I'm not sold on Van Vliet being a championship point guard again. But
Really,
I don't know. I mean,
I can see
maybe
that
last year
too.
they asked too much of him to be a consistent scorer, and that's what he needs to do. But
Yeah.
regardless, this Houston team, I like them. I mean, this is where we look at that championship window going back to the Thunder, and we look at this team, and I mean they match up really well with them,
Yes,
and
sir.
they have good coaching. Now they have a consistent score. They play good defense. So when you look, I mean, they're kind of the same team, except one has Kevin Durant and the other has SGA. So I mean, and what's more funny about this? This means that Anthony Edwards might not even sniff a championship for 5 years, for 3 to 5,
Ooh,
because
that's crazy.
because let's say for sure 3 that he's not even going to sniff a championship for 3 years. Again, barring health, yada yada yada. But this pushes them back. The Lakers are going to be competitive. The Grizzlies we still don't know what's going on with the Grizzlies. Denver, they need to do some retooling. I mean, Denver is close. Denver just needs some people to play defense, and they can be like right back there. They get like 1 or 2 players to play defense, and they back at it. But really, it's Denver and then Houston and Oklahoma City. So for me, this Houston deal, this really like Anthony Edwards gonna have to. He just got to be in the gym getting empty calories for the next few years, and then we'll check in with them in 2028 and and see what's up. But yeah, I like this move. I think everybody wins. Phoenix got the picks they need and some players. Houston got the score they need. I like Houston going into next year. Not as a championship team, but definitely number 2 seed.
I think Houston. I wasn't too sure about how I felt that that Kevin Durant trade to Houston because mainly just purely out of roster concerns. But I liked who they shipped off in return of him. People think it's not worth it, but it makes sense. It's like an offset, honestly. Kevin Durant is kind of close to like being like not worth much in the future. You shipped out two, yes, you shipped out two young guys, but they weren't reliable guys.
Right.
And I think if I'm looking long term, right? If I'm looking to get a ring within the next year or two, I'm making that same trade as well. Because Jalen Green needs to get it together, find a shooter, like go to shooting camp or something, learn to be consistent, and then, go ahead. Then we could probably consider getting him back. Maybe not. Dylan Brooks, I'm not hurt. Dude was a waste of space just like he was in Memphis, honestly. Yeah. But I like it. I think they have a better, stronger chance of going to the conference finals and then probably gas out in the finals if they get there, depending on who they have to go through next year. Fred VanVleet, they need another point guard. The reason Fred VanVleet is considered a championship point guard because he played shooting guard and played behind Kyle Lowry.
Right.
He was never the main guy. And he also locked up Stephen Curry during that year they won the finals. Yeah. So, he wasn't – I don't think he was worth the money that they gave him. I think they should have paid him, maybe 2 or 3 years, maybe $20 million. Maybe.
So the reason why he got that money was because that was the year the salary cap went up. Houston was rebuilding, and they had to spend money. It was just for him. And in any other market, he wouldn't have gotten that money. Everybody was shocked, $44 million for Fred. Everybody was shocked about that.
Right.
For him, it was perfect timing. He would that's the only way he got that money. I mean, I don't like to say what players are worth because that's just that feels weird to me. But he got what was in the market, and just like when that time when after the Cavs won and Dellavedova got all that money from Milwaukee, and everyone was like,
"Oh yeah."
It was just timing. It was timing. The cap that year, the cap went up. Milwaukee had money to spend, and they're like, "Okay, we're going to give you this money." And I think that's why where Houston has said that we're definitely picking up his options because they're looking at other options. And I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think they're really right now, unless there's a deal to be made. I don't think you're going to really find somebody really right now bet on the open market. They trade away the number 10 pick. So, so we'll see. But they need to definitely find another point guard. Definitely to kind of give VanVleet the spell because he has injury concerns also. But I like this move. I'm excited. There's always a health thing with KD. But the thing with KD is that when he's in there, he hasn't shot under 50% since 2014.
Jesus,
that is insane. This man has not shot under 50% since 2014.
That's 11 years of efficiency, man.
Yes,
that's insane.
Bomani Jones said this, and he says, even as Kevin, there is not going to be a time where we're going to see Kevin Durant where he can't get a bucket. There might be a time where we're like, okay, you know what, you're too slow, you can't do certain things or whatever. But he can be 50 out there getting buckets.
Yes.
Probably can't defend anybody, but he can be at 50 out there getting buckets. And that's all Houston needs. Houston needs him to be a decent defender, which he's always been, especially since the Golden State years. He's always been a good defender. But a decent defender and get buckets. And he will do that for you night in, night out. Because what he won't do? Do Jalen Green and go 3 for 9 in the playoffs?
He did that one time in his career. One time. It was against Golden State when he was on the Thunder. He shot 7 for 35 and had 20 points, I think. What?
I will take 7 for. Listen, I am very consistent with this. If you're my star You go out on your shield, dog. I don't care. You shoot 10 for 40. I don't care. You my star. I trust you. You shoot 10 because I trust that eventually those shots will fall. And if they don't, fine. But you're not gonna be a star on my team and shoot 3 for 9. Dog, no, man. I don't care. Like I don't care, man. Listen, shoot listen, I don't want Dylan Brooks with a green light.
For sure.
But
For sure.
Jalen Green, you might starting shooting guard. It's in your job title. Shoot. That's what I want you. That's what I want you to do. So yeah. So listen.
Oh man.
Listen. I will be happy losing the game 7. Kevin Durant going 10 for 30. They'll be like, you know what? Fine. He didn't have it, and fine. I am.
Yeah.
There's not many people I'm going to trust more than Kevin Durant shooting the ball. So
For sure. For sure. Yeah, I'm with the Kevin Durant trade. I think the only thing I disagree with you on is I'm gonna bring it back just a little bit. Anthony Edwards not sniffing a championship for 5 years.
All right, let's talk
5
about it.
years. You might as well just say he's banned from the NBA for 5 years. Just go hide away in a rock. There's no
Look, man.
way.
I look at the West in those 5 years. Okay, you know what? Maybe in year 5 he might be able to be competitive, but in these, look at that Minnesota roster. And granted, I'm sure there'll be moves to be made or whatever, but no free agent is clamoring to go to Minnesota. Number one, so how they get better is going to be either on rentals or hitting in the draft. That's it. So they're not. When you look at this team, they're not better than Denver. They're not better than Houston. They're not better than Oklahoma City.
No.
So, barring injury, this team is going to be a second round out every single year.
Oh man. If that's the case, let's just say this, right? This is super hypothetical because the Minnesota Timberwolves will never do this.
Okay.
Let's just say Minnesota trades Anthony Edwards, right?
Yeah.
They send him to a team, a very good contending team.
Okay.
He gets a ring. He for sure gets a ring, right?
Yeah.
But or he leaves Minnesota for money and they're just and he just goes to maybe the Lakers because Luka will still be young at the time or whatever the case may be. Or he goes to the Rockets because KD will be gone by that time or whatever the case may be. But I don't think it's fair to say Anthony Edwards will never sniff the finals in 5 years.
Okay. He won't sniff the finals if he stays in Minnesota. So let me be clear. He
All
won't
right.
sniff the finals.
I could see that.
Okay. So yeah. So let me be very clear. He won't sniff the finals if he stays in Minnesota.
Okay.
Because again, they have to either hit in the draft or do it by trade, and then the trade's going to be a rental. So that's their only, because it's Minnesota. He tried to petition to get Kevin Durant to come to Minnesota, and KD's like, no. I mean, I'll come. It'll be for 1 year, but I'm not signing an extension. Right. So no one's going to want. I mean, I'm not saying no one will ever, but it's going to be Kevin. Listen, Kevin Garnett had the same problem. Yeah. Kevin Garnett had the same exact problem. Like, hey, I'm here. Come join me. And everyone was like, but it's cold. And it's Minnesota.
Poverty franchise.
So yeah. So that's what I'd say. He his championship window might be shut for a few years. Yeah.
The longer he stays, it's closing really fast.
Exactly.
I thought it was super crazy too that when they made the play-in, when they had Patrick Beverley, I think it was 2 years ago, and everybody was super emotional, excited, they won the finals. Yeah, I was like, oh, this is bad. Yeah, this is very bad.
But now you see why.
Yeah, but
all right. So I want to move to more of a less serious topic. So, what I noticed in the NBA as we look at back this NBA season is that we always try to look at players kind of beyond the superstars, the big stars, because while those players sell tickets, but it's always these random like fan favorite players that if you know basketball, or whatever, like you just kind of have to you kind of like just like lock on. So I just want to see for you
Yeah.
growing up, who was like your favorite non-superstar player?
So I'm gonna stay with my earlier answer when we talked about it, but I have another person too.
Okay.
I'm gonna say Tony Allen and Klay Thompson.
Okay.
Mainly because I'm gonna say Tony Allen. If I had to rank it, Tony Allen is my number one favorite non-superstar because of his defense, and he was the toughest defender the superstars had issues with. Like you talk to anybody, Tony Allen is a consistent name that pops up for a very difficult defender. Kobe said it was Tony Allen. Carmelo said it was Tony Allen. Steph Curry said it was Tony Allen. Braun said it was Tony Allen too. And I think that gives him a lot of credit too. He's not an unsung hero, but definitely underrated and underappreciated. Like I listened to a recent interview that he did too on his podcast. He was talking about like it's so easy to read defenses because you know what to do. And he was like, they all run it's so easy to read offenses because you know what they'll do, and everybody runs the same play. The names are just different. But also, he said, I never put myself in a position to where I'm vulnerable or I'm lagging behind to where like I'm not stepping up, right? Like he's like, I know my role, and that was never expecting me to drop like 30 every game, right? My job was to make these players' lives a living hell and just, do what I need to do, and everybody else can shoot. And I think he embraced that role, and he's very underrated. I wish he was a Hall of Famer, honestly, but like he's a phenomenal guy, phenomenal player. I wish he was younger. He could play in today's age. I think he'd probably be successful, honestly. He'll still get players problems. My number two is Klay Thompson. I don't know what it is. I know what it is, but I don't know how to describe it. If people say Shea Gilgeous Alexander is aura farming, right? Klay Thompson has his own aura, man. Like off the court, dude wants to go home, hang out with his dog. Rest in peace, Rocco. Like and go and just chill, be on the water. And then when he goes on the court, I'm dropping 37. I'm giving you no dribble, 37 points in one court and one half. He can defend. He's been reliable.
Mhm.
I just think post ACL, it became a big adjustment for him. Like he needed a fresh start, and I understand where he was coming from. Like once he tore both ACLs in both knees, and then like had to go through surgery, been out for a couple of years. He wanted a fresh start from Golden State to go to Dallas, revamp his career a little bit, and probably like maybe win a ring. But now that's not happening anymore. But Klay Thompson will forever be a reliable sharpshooter. I think I just love his story. I like that he's super chill. He's not overly emotional in big moments. Like he's shown up for each team consistently so those are my two favorite non-superstars.
All right. So mine, because I'm older than you, and I'm
You're old.
whatever, hey, listen, I wear it. There's nothing wrong. Listen, I don't dye my gray hair. It is what it is. My probably my favorite non-superstar growing up was Rod Strickland. And for me growing up, it was tough because his bullet years, he wasn't on TV a lot, and when he was in the Knicks, he was more so. But I love point guards, and I love point guards that can do magical things with the ball, and that was Rod Strickland, man. Like him, I would go out and try to practice what he would do, and because it was just so wild. And this for those that don't know, the few who might be watching who don't know, Rod Strickland's Kyrie Irving's godfather. So what you're seeing from Kyrie is direct from Rod because it's that line, and it's a through line with New York point guards from Kenny Anderson to technically Mark Jackson, Kenny Anderson, Rod Strickland, Kyrie Irving. Like that is the lineage, and just when you just saw just the confidence of how he being like 6'1", just going into the lane with giants and just flipping it off the backboard with ease. And you just had people just sitting there like, yo, stop making me look like a fool. This is not the Rucker. like that's what he would like. That's what he would do to these great defenders during that time, doing a much more physical style of play. Is just he would make them look foolish. And the only thing they could do was like foul him. They tried to be physical with him. But he is a typical New York point guard where he's tough. He's like, look, I played outside. So this is nothing to me. Like you bump me down, go to the free throw line, hit my free throws. And the thing is, and so when I think about the non-superstars, but who love to watch, he's the epitome for me because when you look at his numbers, like he's not a Hall of Famer because he only averaged like 13 points a game and 7 assists. So that's not Hall of Fame numbers. Right. But when you look at the impact of how his game and how his fingerprints are still on the game today, because not directly from Kyrie Irving, but when you just look at any of these point guards who have handles and who can get to any point on the floor they want, he's kind of the godfather. And so that's why for me, Rod Strickland is probably like my favorite non-superstar growing up. Check the YouTube, kids.
That's a good pick. I don't know too much about Rod Strickland. He's definitely before my time. I was probably like 3 or 4 maybe not even born. I don't know.
check out his highlights on YouTube. You completely see Kyrie. You see Kyrie's game in his. Kyrie is definitely a better player than him by far. There's no equating that. Kyrie is the better player. But
okay.
You can see Rod Strickland's fingerprints in Kyrie's game.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna look it up today.
All right. So with that said, our last section, I'm gonna do the clear out. Josh, he's gonna pass me the rock today, and he's gonna let me go solo on this one. So I'm gonna do the clear out, and my clear out is with these basketball parents. You are ruining the game. And we've been watching a playoff series of players with getting blowing out their Achilles tendon and these overuse injuries, calf strains, and all this comes from you punk ass parents who try to live your hoop dreams through your kids. Here's why. When you see that your kid excels at basketball, what do? You say, okay, you're going to be good. And you probably think to yourself, I would like to be that good, and I wish I had this. So we are going to live out this hoop dream. We are going to train. We are going to play all the time. We are going to sign up for all these tournaments. We have these hoop dreams. But what happens is that you start these kids off specializing early in basketball. And now these kids are getting overuse injuries. We saw it in baseball. Steven Strasburg. He was throwing 100-mile-per-hour fastballs in high school for no reason during tournaments. He was supposed to be the greatest baseball prospect we've ever seen. He was out in the major leagues in like 6 years because he and his parents had to play all the time, all year long. The reason why 82 games isn't the problem isn't because that players are soft now. No, because you know what? Back in the day, when basketball season was over, you know what the kids used to do? They'll play pickup game a little bit in the summer, but that's it. They would play pickup a little bit in the summer. They would go out. They would have fun during the summer. Their parents weren't taking them across the country in tournaments. Why do you have your 10-year-old playing 4 states away in a basketball tournament? There aren't NBA scouts there. There aren't college scouts there. Nobody cares about your 10-year-old and that he won an AAU tournament. But yet, you live in South Carolina and you're driving to Ohio to play in a 10-year-old AAU tournament. You've got adults ranking 12-year-olds like he's the best 12-year-old in America. For what? For what? You have colleges giving 13-year-olds offers. They haven't even fully grown. They're not really full people yet. But you're giving a 13-year-old an offer because he's the best 13-year-old in the country? That's insane. So you fast forward to these kids playing these tournaments, these games over and over again, year in, year out, specializing so early. And then now they're 24, 25, and they're blowing out their Achilles. They're having these overuse injuries. And a lot of these AAU tournaments aren't played in great areas. They're only playing in convention centers where they're putting wood over concrete floors. They're not playing in high school gyms sometimes. They're playing wherever they can put some wood down or whatever. So you have that. You have kids playing all the time, playing too much. You have the fact that kids are specializing too early. You have all these things, and that's what's leading up to this, to not only the injury epidemic that we're seeing in the NBA, but you're seeing also just some of the bad level of play. Because guess what? When these kids travel and go on these tournaments, the coaches aren't coaching. It's just a bunch of kids together playing in this weekend. There's no plays. There's nothing. It's, I'm going to show out for the scouts. They're not growing. And you're taking these star kids a lot of times out of their community. You're taking them out of high school where a coach can actually coach them, teach them the game. And look, I know this is a really stay off my lawn take, but keep the kids in their local schools. Let them get coached. Let them have to learn how to carry a team. But all that said, going back to the injury epidemic that we're seeing in the NBA, it all starts from, again, these punk-ass parents trying to live their hoop dreams through their kids. And so that's why it's not about shortening the NBA season. It's not about these players are softer than players of an older generation. It's the fact that these players are playing too much. The reason why we knew that players back in the day like Wilt Chamberlain could run a 4.4 was because Wilt Chamberlain ran track. None of these basketball players are doing any other sports but play basketball. They're not playing football. They're not playing baseball. They're not doing anything that's really just giving them a broader athletic base. They play basketball. They lift weights, hopefully properly, probably not. And so this is what we're seeing. So if you want to fix the NBA injury epidemic, fix AAU. Fix these punk-ass parents. And that's how you make a better game. And that's how you stop these overuse injuries. So that's something that's been bothering me, Josh. People are just saying they keep complaining about the season, but man, I've seen these kids. Like, I've seen it. I don't understand why we are ranking children.
Yeah.
It is the weirdest thing. And I get it. They become YouTube sensations, social media, and they're all this other stuff. But what does it mean to be the best 10-year-old in the country? Like, what does that even mean? Like, there's no job. You're not going to get, you might get jobs. Like, it means nothing. You're still growing. And it's the adults. The adults are who are saying the games to get better. The adults are at the same time ruining the game.
They are. They're taking the fun out of everything. It's kind of crazy, and it's not borderline toxic. It's very toxic because it's just like you said before, like parents are just living their dreams through their kids and trying to get them to like make a whole bunch of money so they can get themselves out of a financial situation, and that's a trend that I'm seeing too. But I think it's super weird that we're ranking kids. It's like borderline creepy, man. I'm not. Like, why are we following kids around? What is this?
It's kind of crazy. It really is. And I think that we've seen it, that this never really works out. We have players like Mikey Williams, who YouTube sensation, one of the best players. He moved from California to go to a prep school in Charlotte, and then all these things, and then everything just fell apart for him. And it was that God, I can't think of his name. The little kid, he was short, and he had all these handles, and he would be weird.
Julian Newman.
Yes, him. And
Yeah.
he couldn't even make a college team, but he had all this height. He was like the best. He was the best seventh grader in the nation, and now he can't make a college team. So what did that didn't help him? It hurt him. You know,
He's like 5 foot.
exactly right.
He was like, I can lock up Steph Curry.
So he played somebody recently. I can't remember. I have to find it. It was I have to find it. And they embarrassed him. It might have been it might have been Lou Will.
Nah, it was another like straight ball. I think. But I think I know what you're talking about. They got into a fight too, like a little bit in our 1-on-1 matchup.
Yeah, it was like, and he got abused. And the thing is, the same thing. What we're seeing is because of these, that's why like LaMelo Ball doesn't know how to play winning basketball because he's never had to play winning basketball. He'll put up empty numbers, but he doesn't know how to play winning basketball. But yeah, that's just about what's been bothering me to close out this NBA season is that everyone thinks they have the answer of like, oh, it's shortened the season, but no, it's the season is fine. And maybe giving some time between games, more time, sure, but no, man. The reason why it's these punk ass parents, and once we get them under control. Because listen, back in the day, the parents are like, there wasn't any money in basketball, so the parents are like, listen, I just need you at the house, be healthy or whatever, and that's fine. And so they weren't saying, oh, you have to play in 8 summer tournaments because you have to move up the rank. No, they're like, all right, play. They weren't paying thousands of dollars to get their kids in tournaments, which is absolutely insane. But anyway, I'm rambling. So yeah, we've had a good show today. We touched on a lot of things today.
Yeah, for sure. It was a good one.
All right, man. So with that said, I'm B Moore. That's J Moore. Another Tribe Called Swish presentation. We'll holler at y'all later on, man. Peace.
Peace.